From the untamed wilderness to the freshwater shores of the greatest lakes, Michigan's Upper Peninsula is an outdoor lover's paradise and the country's best-kept secret. My name is Kristen Ojanimi, a lifelong Uper and the newest host of the iconic UP Outdoors television program, Discovering, and it's my honor to carry on the tradition of the best outdoor storytellers of this region. So sit back, listen, and discover what it's like to live and play in this amazing place we call the UP. Today's Discover the UP podcast is brought to you by Big Valley Ford, Dodge Chrysler Jeep in Ewan, Michigan, ABM Tools, Hardcore Outfitters of Iron Mountain, and Cooking Wild Seasonings. Welcome to the Discover the UP podcast. I'm Kristen Ojanimi. Over the weekend, actually, I had the weekend off and I didn't do a ton, which was really nice. I helped my boyfriend bottle maple syrup, and syrup season came really early this year, and it is probably over now. It's just another impact of our crazy, warm, snowless winter here in the UP. I just read a news report that it is the warmest winter on record, and it's going to be 60 degrees out. It is March 11th today, and like I said, it's just crazy. There's no really other word for it but crazy. You know, and there has been no snowmobile season. Ski hills have been poor. Cross-country skiing hasn't been possible. I went snowshoeing once. I really didn't need the snowshoes, but I just got them for Christmas and wanted to use them. But one thing that you have been able to do, that we can do outside and get some fresh air, is go for a hike. So the last couple weekends, I've gone hiking. And this past weekend, I went on a 5-mile hike in the Baraga Plains area on part of the North Country Trail. One of the great features, well, there's a lot of great features of where I live, is the North Country Trail is in my backyard. I'm being a little generous there. It's not in my backyard. It's probably about 7 miles north of my house. So it's really not that far for me to just hop on the trail and go for a hike. For those of you unfamiliar with the North Country Trail, or NCT for short, it's the longest hiking trail in the country, and it runs from Vermont to North Dakota through 11 states for a total of just over 4,800 miles. That's a lot of miles. Our great state of Michigan is home to the most miles of the trail of any other state, and 550 of those best miles are right here across the Upper Peninsula. The trail is broken up into chapters, and the chapter that runs by my house is the Peter Wolfe Chapter, and that runs through the Western U.P. from Craig Lake to M64 near the Porcupine Mountains. This section of the trail passes by numerous waterfalls, some of my favorites like Canyon Falls and Okundikun Falls, arguably two of the most beautiful waterfalls in the UP. You hike over the tops of bluffs with spectacular views of the Ottawa National Forest, and you literally walk through old copper mining ruins in Old Victoria. So there's just a huge diversity on this trail. The Baraga Plains, where we are hiking on today's podcast, is probably the flattest section of the trail, yet still very pretty, and I was thankful for the flat terrain since I've been a bit lazy this winter. It was a beautiful day for a hike. I think it was around 37 to 39 degrees and sunny, so it felt a lot warmer than it was. The ground was 99% bare of snow, so made for super easy hiking. There were a couple icy patches, but nothing you couldn't go around. There was a large group of us, over 20, out hiking that afternoon, including the vice president of the Peter Wolfe Chapter of the North Country Trail, Mark Roberts. So even though I had the weekend off, I took the opportunity to chat with Mark about the trail and some recent news, their need for volunteers and people to adopt sections of the trail and help maintain it, and some good places to get out and hike right now.
The North Country Trail was just granted unit status from the National Park Service, meaning that it's going to be treated much like any of the other major national parks like Yellowstone or Isle Royale or any of the major parks. They're all unit status. I'm not sure whether that's a congressionally designated term or whether it's within the Department of Interior. But anyway, the North Country Trail is part of the National Park Service. There's a national trail system, and the North Country Trail is one of those. The original ones were like the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail, but there are 11 major trails in the National Park Service system. And the difference between having unit status and not, it really means that the trail can get more funding. It's treated more like a major national park instead of just a sideline. So we'll see what happens. Again, it was just granted, a few months ago, and we'll see how much difference that makes to our funding and what happens on the trail.
You need funding though, right?
Oh, there's always plenty of uses for money. For example, we're trying to replace a bridge called Bush Creek Bridge, which is west of here. And the engineering on that alone was $20,000. And finding funding to actually build the bridge has been a real challenge. We finally got funding, and for close to $100,000 to build this 30-foot bridge. It's way in the remote area, so it's expensive to build it. I think they just signed the contract and it'll get done this summer. We hope. It better be. Our funding runs out here at the end of September, so it's got to be done by then.
Where did you say this bridge is?
It's called Bush Creek. It's in the Trap Hills, just to the west of here. Well, a ways west of here. It's been a problem spot because the old bridge, the timber broke on it, and so it's pretty unsafe, but people have to use it because it's very difficult to cross the little creek otherwise. And so, yeah, we're real happy that that is getting done. But the gist of it is we need funding for projects like that. The North Country Trail is part of the National Park Service, but the Park Service itself doesn't really do a lot of they do almost no maintenance on the trail. It's all falls on the North Country Trail Association, which is what we are volunteers for. And the North Country Trail Association is a group of volunteers that actually do the work. Now there is a staff for that, and it's twice as big as the National Park Service staff. But they're the ones that really raise money and organize work sessions and go out on the trail, maintain it, cut trees off the trail, build new trail, worry about the bridges, do all these things that have to be done to make the trail possible. The North Country Trail Association is divided into chapters. Well, first divided into states, so they're all the states that the North Country Trail goes through, from Vermont clear to North Dakota. So there's kind of divided into states, and then each state is divided into chapters in the North Country Trail Association. And the chapters have various mileages. Our local chapter is the Peter Wolfe Chapter, and it covers basically from near, well, not quite the Porcupine Mountains, but near there, clear over to halfway to Marquette, the place called Long Lake, which is near Craig's Lake State Park. And that's 120 miles. So our chapter maintains that. We've divided that into segments of usually around 1 mile to 4 miles maybe. And then each segment is usually adopted by one or a couple of volunteers that go out and maintain it. So for example, I have a segment called segment 13 and 14, and well, a friend of mine also, and we hike it every spring, make sure that there's no trees across the trail. If there's trees across, we cut them out, and we maintain the blazes, so everything has to be blue blazed. We brush it out if there's brush growing up. We weed whack if there's weeds starting to grow to where you can't follow the trail anymore. And basically try to get out on it several times a year to make sure everything's passable and that nobody's going to get lost. Everybody can find their way through, and just make it a pleasant hiking experience. Some of us also do kind of roaming maintenance work, like many of us that are chainsaw certified go out and help adopters on their segment to cut trees out, that fall down. Trees are always falling down across the trail. And so, some adopters are certified to cut trees with chainsaws, some are not. There's a lot you can do with hand saws to clear trails, but if it's big trees, you really need chainsaws to take care of it. Especially if there's a big blowdown or a big winter storm or something that brings a lot of trees down, you really need to get out there with chainsaw crew and take care of it. So some of us do that in addition to our own segments. And then we also have a kind of a roving mowing crew where we mow certain segments of trail, like these around here, the Baraga Plains. They grow over with ferns and tall grass and you can't see the trail anymore. So we try to go through usually about the end of June, early July, we mow about 40 miles of trail. So we have a team of people with walk-behind mowers that we can mow those, but it has to be pretty flat terrain to get a mower through.
This is pretty flat.
Yeah, and this is ideal for mowing. It doesn't look like it now with all the grass dried up and brown, but come midsummer, gets pretty deep and you can't see the tread anymore. So a mowed path really helps, hikers get through. So that's another one of the jobs we do.
Today's Discover the UP podcast is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings.
Cooking Wild Seasonings. Flavor and meat. Just mix, heat, and eat. That simple? You bet. Now even easier with our new grab-and-go 4-pack cartons. 4 combinations to choose from. Whitetail Hunter, Deer Camp, Summer Sausage, and Fresh Sausage. Make it fresh, make it yours. Make it easy. Grab a 4-pack today. Available at various locations, including all Chris Northwood's neighborhood store locations. Find out more about Cooking Wild Seasonings at cookingwildseasonings.com.
We certainly could use more volunteers for some of these crews. There are areas that get really brushy where a mower can't get in or the brush is too thick or deep for a mower to go, so we need handheld weed whacker type brushing implements, and we've been trying to organize a weed whacker crew to go in and do areas that need that, but we can't find enough volunteers for that, so that's definitely a need for volunteers. Some segments don't have adopters, so it falls on the other people to try to get in and do it, and so we could use some volunteers for adopting a segment. And again, you don't have to be chainsaw certified to do that. You can do a lot with hand saws and just brushing loppers, to clear the trail, and blazing, put up our paint blazes. That's always in need of, reblazing, especially when trees fall down that have blazes on them. You got to replace it, but the paint doesn't last forever, and we need to refresh that. So yeah, there's plenty for volunteers. Oh, and bridge building or boardwalk building is another thing we try to do. This past summer, I was kind of organizing crews to replace one long bridge. It was 156 feet long. We replaced the Plumbago Creek Bridge. We didn't have to do the sills or the foundation, but the decking was all rotting away. It originally was made with just regular sawn lumber. It wasn't pressure treated, so it was starting to rot and the boards were rotting, and so we had 5 work days to replace all of that. And it was fun work. It was good, but it takes a crew. We had pretty good luck. People seem to like doing that sort of work. We get quite a few volunteers for that, and it's fun to do, and people like to see their progress they're making. And and then we built another little bridge not far from here over at Big Lake. It was a wet area that was hard to get across when it was wet, not like now, but so we put in a bridge there. Let's see, that was about 24 feet long, not really a bridge, but a boardwalk up above the wet area. And we got that done in 3 hours. We had a really good crew of people, and we just all got busy and got it done. It was a good project. And then there's a lot of boardwalk here and there around that needs to be installed and replaced and maintained. So there's plenty to do, and it's fun work being outside, and it's a good group of people to work with. So yeah, the way you would join in is to go to the North Country Trail Association website, NCTA. You'd find it with an easy Google search or whatever, and join. The trick is you need to enroll or sign up for whatever chapter you want to be involved with. So in the Western U.P., it's starting in Wisconsin, it's the Nino chapter. Then the next one is Peter Wolfe Chapter, and then it's the Marquette area group, and I forget what it goes from there. But there's like 5 of them in the Upper Peninsula, and then like 7 more, I think, downstate Michigan. The trail goes down the western side of Michigan, and so there's a lot of chapters down there. So when if you sign up for membership in the North Country Trail Association, you can pick the chapter you want to be involved with. There's really good maps there, so you can figure out, what parts you're interested in. And it's volunteer work. It's a good group of people, and it's fun to be working outside. The other thing to do if you're interested in really helping out is to sign a volunteer in park agreement, VIP agreement, which doesn't really obligate you to do anything, but it allows for the National Park Service to cover insurance and liability or injury insurance and liability, so that you're covered that way. And if you're going to do chainsaw work and trail work, you really want to sign up for that, because it's good protection for you. And furthermore, you're signed up, your hours then count, and you get rewards for a certain number of hours of volunteer work. But it's something you want to do. It's good, and it's part of how the system works. If you want to do chainsaw work, you need to go through chainsaw training, and that's even though a lot of us have done chainsaw work for decades. Every time I've gone through the chainsaw course, I've learned new things. It's really been worthwhile, even though I've been sawing for many, many years, and you never know all there is to learn. And that's been really worthwhile, and it helps you be more safe and learn new things about sawing. I didn't know you could keep doing that, but you can.
Where do you go to do the chainsaw
The
course?
Park Service is the one that organizes those, and it in various places, depending on how many people in each chapter need to be recertified or certified. They schedule that and arrange that. So again, you've got to be into the system to do that sort of thing. And it's very worthwhile.
Today's Discover the UP podcast is brought to you by ABM Tools. My friend Andrew wants to help support this podcast, but didn't know how he should advertise his business, so here goes. ABM Tools is a small, family-owned and operated business out of Ewan, Michigan, but they cover the entire UP, delivering tools to all sorts of businesses. Inside the tool truck are hand tools, power tools, automotive shop supplies, and so much more. I should tell Andrew I need a new Grizzly cooler, preferably blue. ABM Tools is also a tech tire supplies distributor, and Travis is the guy behind the wheel of that truck. So if you see Andrew or Travis in a ABM Tools truck, tell them thanks for supporting this podcast.
Do you know what segments that you need trail adopters for at the top?
I do, but we don't want to do it that way because Connie's the president of the Peter Wolfe Chapter. I'm vice president. And what we need is for people to contact Connie and say what they're interested in doing. The reason we can't just say this segment is open, because by the time somebody contacts them, it might not be open anymore. Right. And you don't want to promise something to somebody and then they find out, that's not available. So the way to do it is to contact Connie and say whether you're interested. And again, if you're on a different chapter, you contact the president of that chapter, and they kind of know what's open, what isn't, what needs volunteers, what sort of things need to be done.
Well, I can't make any promises, but obviously the Peter Wolfe Chapter is my backyard.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it'd be a good incentive to get out on the trail more.
Yeah, well, and just come out and hike, Yeah.
I mean, I could be biased, and I don't see any other of the sections, but the Peter Wolfe chapter's probably got to be one of the most scenic.
Well, I think so, but I haven't, to be honest, I have not hiked that many miles elsewhere on the North Country Trail. I mean, I've a little bit in Pennsylvania, a little bit in Ohio, a little bit in downstate Michigan, a little bit in Minnesota, but I have not covered a lot of miles elsewhere. But for sure, there's a lot of variety on the Peter Wolfe chapter. The trap hills are rugged, up and down, a lot of great views, remote. The Baraga Plains, like we are here today, is, kind of flat, but really pretty nice hiking. And it's scenic because you're not just in a tunnel of trees the whole way. There's wildlife at times of the year. It's got its own appeal. Then there's along the Sturgeon River where you're seeing the waterfalls and the water flowing. And then east of Canyon Falls, the new area, we just opened the trails there. There was a road walk for quite a bit, but now it's all trail. And that's interesting country. It's a different area. It's different geology, so the plant life and the things are kind of different than the rest of it. And it's a pretty interesting area. It's fun to hike through there. But again, it's pretty remote. Its access is a little more difficult, so you're in for longer hikes. There are ways to do out and back hikes that are reasonable, but it's a little bit more difficult because it is a lot more private land there, and a lot of the access roads are gated and closed, so it's harder to get in there. But it's worth it because the trails are different and really, really nice, pretty areas.
Yeah, I just like that section at all much.
Yeah. A good place to go is Craig Lake State Park. You can get in there, and if you go west from there, that's really the Marquette chapter for the first 2 miles, but that 2 or 3 miles, but that 2 or 3 miles is a really pretty stretch of trail. It's kind of rolling hills with granite boulders around and moss-covered boulders and ups and downs. It's different than what we see around here, so it's fun to see. From there going west, you get on to the Peter Wolfe chapter, and again, that's kind of new trail. Now, a lot of that's kind of back road walking, but they're locked, gated roads, so it's kind of just like a wide trail. You won't see any traffic or cars in there, so it's a good walk there too.
Is M64 the west point?
That M64 is our west boundary of the Peter Wolfe chapter, and then it goes east to Long Lake near Craig Lake State Park.
Today's Discover the UP podcast is brought to you by Big Valley Ford, Dodge Chrysler Jeep in Ewan, Michigan. When I'm traveling around the UP, I'm surprised, and not surprised, by how often the vehicle in front of me has a Big Valley sticker on it. Big Valley Ford Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is located in the tiny town of Ewan on the west end of the Upper Peninsula. People from across the region buy their new and used cars and trucks from Big Valley, and they drive all the way back to Ewan to get them serviced. Which reminds me, I'm probably due for an oil change myself. I'm on my 4th new Ford vehicle with over 500,000 miles under their tires, so I'm probably due for a tire rotation too. Big Valley is a one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs with a full service department, parts department, and body shop. I got caught in a hailstorm once with my last truck, and they made it look just like new. If you're looking for a new or used vehicle, go see them in Ewan or check out their inventory online at bigvalley.biz.
Talking about just, this has been a crazy winter, and I'm sure it's made for good hiking or bad hiking.
Well, normally I organize cross-country ski trips, weekly but I haven't been able to organize a single one of them this winter. I've actually skied a lot this winter. I skied most days since January, but it's always on groomed trail and it's very thin snow. I mean, it's just barely enough to ski. But Sundays it just hasn't worked out for skiing. And so we've been hiking, and mostly just hiking, not even snowshoes. One trip to Victoria we did on snowshoes, but even there the snow was only a couple inches deep. It wasn't, and usually, that time of year, that was February, and usually, you're looking at 3 or 4 feet of snow, and it was maybe 3 or 4 inches this year. So it's been nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ski areas are suffering, and snowmobiling is just out of the question.
Yeah.
Completely out of the question.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. I mean, but yeah, today, a year ago, we would have been on a few feet of snow out here.
Yeah, right. In fact, we've had come out here, well, either with snowshoes or sometimes cross-country skis.
I suppose it's wide enough, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, look at it. We're just walking on bare ground. Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful out here.
Yeah, it's a nice day.
It's
It's
unnatural.
great day, but geez, for March, this is more like May.
It is. Wow, I've been wondering about the wildlife. I know skunks and raccoons are out in full force.
I don't know. I saw some deer in my field this morning, but they're running around. Saw swans on Castle Bay yesterday or 2 days ago.
I've seen a lot
A
of
robin, I saw first robin. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. We might get walloped with a big storm, but
I keep thinking we are. We're not out of the woods yet there.
no. I mean, last year, would we have 4 feet of snow down here on May 2nd or 3rd?
I don't want it in May. It can happen like any time now through mid-April, and then
Right.
we can be done with that.
Yeah.
Just because, the way it's been. But, for people wanting to get out, to enjoy this crazy weather, what are some of your favorite hiking spots or some good areas to get out to enjoy?
Well, I really enjoy the Baraga Plains where we are this time of year because it's easy to get here. The road access is pretty easy. I like this terrain to walk through. It's fun. Some areas might like the Trap Hills are certainly very scenic, but it might be pretty challenging to get there. I don't know, maybe the roads are fine now, but some other areas, well, it'd be great going to Tibbetts Falls on the Sturgeon River. That's on the North Country Trail. Canyon Falls, of course, is a well-known place to go. Well, probably could even go east from Canyon Falls, upstream along the Sturgeon River. I don't know yet. I don't know how much snow is in there. Probably little patches here and there, but.
I was at Canyon Falls last weekend. It was icy.
Okay. It could be icy in some of those areas. So this area is good because it's pretty well known. And if there is a patch of ice, it's easy to get around it. Well, there are some of the preserves. You could certainly go to some of those now. Horseshoe Harbor up at Copper Harbor was a good hike a couple weeks ago. There were no ice on the lake. The trail was easy to get in there. The road was fine. A little bit muddy in spots, but it was easy to get in there. That's a good hike to go to.
How long of a hike is that?
Well, it depends on where you start. We started at the end of 41 and walked the whole way in just to get a hike out of it, and that's about, 2.5 miles, 2 miles total to get from the end of 41 to Horseshoe Harbor, something like that. But you can drive up that road a ways and make it shorter. At least a couple weeks ago you could. We didn't because we wanted to hike. But so if you drive all the way into the parking area at Horseshoe Harbor, it's only like a half-mile hike.
Oh.
So it's pretty short. But so that's a good one.
Today's Discover the UP podcast is brought to you by Hardcore Outfitters of Iron Mountain. Hardcore Outfitters strives to promote and instill an enjoyment of the outdoors for all ages and individuals. Whether you're already an avid outdoors person who enjoys the thrill of the hunt or newly learning the art of archery, Sharpen your skills at their indoor archery range and check out their line of products from Matthews, Hoyt, Bear, Raven, Centerpoint, 10-Point, and Wicked Ridge. If being on the water drives your passion and has you hooked, they have an impressive selection of year-round fishing gear, plus a full-service bait shop and the largest selection for fly fishing the UP. Go to Hardcore Outfitters in Iron Mountain, tell them I sent you, and discover what outdoor hobby or adventure awaits you.
Are they still doing the Hike 100 challenge? Is that like a
Yes, yes. Oh yeah, there's the Hike 100 challenge. Yeah, a bunch of us do that. And the idea there is you hike any 100 miles on the North Country Trail during the year. It's self-reported, just an honesty system, and send in your, you sign up first, and then when you're finished, you send in your, say that you've done it. And you get a little patch and a certificate and whatnot. So it's no big deal, but it's a fun motivation to get out and hike. And I've been doing it every year since they started, and several of others of us have done it. And you can hike the same mile 100 times if you want, which, some people live next to the North Country Trail. That's what they do every morning or whatever. They go out for their daily walk and they get their miles done really quickly. For those of us that live a ways away, we have to drive down to the trail. But, when I maintain trail, that counts. And then we do the hikes like today where we just get out and hike, and you just keep track of it, add it up, and it just provides a good motivation to get out and go for hikes. Yeah.
Good goal.
Yeah, it's a good goal. It's a fun goal. It's fun to try to mix it up and see new places you haven't been to before. So for example, when I've been on a trip somewhere and we come across a place where the North Country Trail is and we feel like stopping for a little break and, go for a hike, maybe a mile or a couple miles, it counts, and you see something new and different. So, yeah.
Thanks. I keep every year, I'm like, I'm going to do it. And every year I don't.
Sign up. Did you sign up?
No, I didn't.
That's the first step. Sign up, and then you feel more obligated to get out and do it.
Awesome. Thank you very much for.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun to see you again.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has. I think I did Trap Hills with you guys last summer.
Yeah, that was the last time.
Thanks again to Mark for chatting with me after the hike. I try to meet up with this hiking group when I have time. Like I just said there, the last time was late summer, last year in the Trap Hills section of the trail, which is arguably probably the best part of the trail. The scenic overlooks there are incredible, and the best time to do that, of course, is in the fall when the colors are spectacular. Also, be prepared for a workout. There are a lot of long, steep climbs, but it is well worth the view. Right now, like we were talking about with our crazy El Nino winter/spring now, and no snow on the ground, and no bugs, it's the perfect time to get out hiking. The fresh air and sunshine during the hike felt amazing, and between that, the scenery, and chatting with people, 5 miles flew right by. We did sort of an out and back loop, also utilizing what looked like some 2-track ATV trails in the area. The North Country Trail is super accessible right now. Some trailheads that are typically not accessible because they are on seasonal roads or roads that are used as snowmobile trails during the winter, you're able to get out to. If you're looking for places to hike, I suggest some out and back hikes from some of these trailheads. And if you're unfamiliar with the trail, the NCT website, northcountrytrail.org, has a great interactive trail map that shows the trail and access points, segment lengths, you name it. You can also download printable maps of each trail section, which is a good idea if you are going out for a longer or multi-day hike, because a lot of the trail is in very remote areas with limited cell phone signal. It is on my bucket list to hike all of the NCT across the Upper Peninsula. I think, what did we say, that's 550 miles? It's going to take some time. I don't see myself doing the entire 4,800 miles ever of the entire North Country Trail. Maybe someday if I retire really young. A couple years ago, I interviewed a young couple that did through hike the entire trail in one season. I think it took them about 6 months. I met up with them when they were hiking through the Peter Wolfe Chapter and they crossed a road near me. They documented the entire thing every day on the trail, and their YouTube page is Hiking America, and it's all there, so you can see the trail from beginning to end. I'll post a link to the interview I did with them on the YouTube podcast version of this in the description, along with any other stories I've done about the NCT. So if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify or wherever, hop on to my YouTube channel, Discover the UP, when you have a moment to see those. And again, the NCT website is northcountrytrail.org. And if you want to sign up to volunteer or adopt a segment of the trail in the Peter Wolfe chapter, the email address for Connie, who is the president of the chapter, is pwc@northcountrytrail.org. Again, that's PWC for Peter Wolfe Chapter, PWC@northcountrytrail.org. So get out there, go for a hike, and I hope you tune in again next week for another Discover the UP podcast.